Hi, Adriana. Thank you for submitting this essay. Let's take a look at what you've sent us. It's your own topic. Let's see. They prefer socializing online. Why? And then what measures could be taken? All right. So this is a two-question task, which means that typically what we do is we answer each question in its own paragraph. Okay, so why are they socializing online? Why do they prefer socializing online? And then how could we encourage them to meet face to face? All right, let's see. Okay. Online socialization takes a big role among the teenagers these days. Many prefer to chat and see each other behind a screen than in person, all because of a drug in the body called dopamine, the main reason behind this reality. It is undeniable the negative impact in the youth's life. However, there are many ways to teach those young person to be more sociable and emotionally mature. Okay. So the first thing that I notice here that's an issue is some of your grammar. It's there's some inaccuracy pretty much in each of the sentences that I read. So first of all, you have these days. So the tense you wanted here is taking, present continuous. Online socialization is taking a big role. But even that doesn't make sense because you don't say something takes a big role. So maybe it's not the tense that's the problem. Maybe it's just the verb you use, take. So maybe what would have been better is online socialization has a big role among teenagers, spell it right, know these days. Okay, so what I've done is I've gotten rid of some of the extra words you have. Online socialization has a big role among teenagers these days. Okay, that's much better. Many prefer to chat and see each other behind a screen than in person, all because of a drug in the body called dopamine. I would not have put this here the main reason behind this reality. I think you're already telling that. You're telling us the because of a drug. So you don't need to say the main reason. I feel like it's repetitive. All right. And I'm not so convinced that you wanted to be so specific about dopamine in your introduction. I have a little bit of a hesitation about this. I'm wondering if maybe you should have been a little more general in your introduction, and then you could have gotten into some more detail in your body paragraphs. But before I kind of decide that, I want to keep reading, okay? Now, the next sentence has some grammar mistakes. The syntax is wrong, okay? So we don't say it is denial, not it is undeniable the negative impact. We say the negative impact in the youth's life is undeniable. Okay? So you have that whole phrase as your subject. The impact on the youth's life is undeniable. However, or you could have said, it is undeniable that this has a negative impact in the youth's life. That would have been okay as well. However, there are many ways to teach, I would say, these young people to be more sociable and emotionally mature. Okay, so let's say you told me that you think dopamine is behind it. So you more or less answered, okay, in the introduction, the first question. You've told us that there are ways to teach them to be sociable. All right, it's a little vague, so it's really funny. The first sentence, the first question, you answered really specifically with this whole dopamine thing, but the second one I feel is a little vague. So what I want to do, Adriana, is I want to read the actual essay, read your body paragraphs, and then after we do that, maybe we can um, kind of tweak your introduction so that it works a little better, okay? All right, let's see. The main impact, oops, wait, overdid it. Give me a second. Okay. The main impact in the brain, this is wrong here, about virtual socialization and consequently screen time is an overdose of dopamine in the body. All right, there's some problems here. So the main impact in the brain, um, which results from virtual socialization, and it's not consequently screen time, it's screen time, and then as a consequence, I don't know. I feel like some of these words here are off. Let me try it one more time. The main impact in the brain from virtual socialization is an overdose of dopamine in the body. This means that feelings of happiness and satisfaction are fulfilled in seconds. Careful with your spelling. But as with any drug, it is very addictive and the cycles just start. Person needs more every minute, and the fake impression that the time spent is worth because they're talking to another friend and interacting virtually with someone real. All right, so here you had an issue with grammar again, and then I want to talk more about this. The person needs more and more, and a fake impression um, is created. Let me see how to fix this. And the fake, let's see, the person needs more and more, and the fake impression. Okay, let me do it one more time. The person needs more and more, and a fake impression is created that the time spent is worthwhile because they are talking to another friend and interacting with someone real. All right, so obviously there's some problems with grammar. I had to clean them up. But for me, that's not the only issue with this paragraph. For me, I feel like we're missing part of the story. You went straight to this idea about dopamine. Let's go back to the question. So why do they prefer socializing online instead of meeting in person? And you're saying, well, dopamine is the reason. All right, well, I feel like we're really missing part of the picture here. So why does a young person get an overdose of dopamine talking online, but not like in person with their friends? That's what I don't understand. How do you make the connection here between dopamine and online chatting? So that's what I mean by I feel like we're missing something. Why is dopamine associated just with this? Okay. So I feel like this focus on dopamine, while I appreciate what you're saying, I feel like you've kind of um, not answered the question. You've left us with a lot of unanswered questions, and we can't really create any conclusions. So I think for me, what would have been better is if you had said something like, studies have shown that young people who talk to people online have a greater release of dopamine in the system than those who meet people in person. Okay, so if you had kind of laid this out for us, that would have been good. The result is that young people get addicted to this dopamine fix and want it more and more. Okay, since dopamine is the happy hormone or whatever we call it. Okay, so something like this would have been good. The result of this is that young people meet their real friends in person less and less, and instead choose to interact with um, relative strangers online in order to feel more satisfied. Okay, so this is the kind of development I want in this paragraph. You really have to take us through it step by step. So you can't assume that your reader knows about dopamine, that your reader knows what it is, and why we're associating it with chatting online rather than talking in person. So you have to take us literally by the hand, step by step, so we can understand your thought process. Okay, let's see. The next question was what measures? Okay. You keep spelling teenagers wrong, so be careful. Teenagers are learning since childhood to spend more time in the screen and consequently less time playing and chatting with their peers. Okay. So again, grammar is an issue here. Teenagers have learned to spend, all right, let's try and let me reorganize this. Since childhood, teenagers have learned to spend more time, I would say online, and consequently less time playing and chatting with their peers. To change this reality, parents should support their children more from an early age, if possible, to practice any kind of sport. No S here. Again, I would probably change some of the word order here just to make it flow a little more nicely. So to change this reality, parents should support their children at an early age, if possible, to practice any kind of sport. Okay, that's fine. Not since, but from an early age. By sports, it can be in team. No, by sports, it can be in team. In teams such as volleyball, or by sports, it can be. You know what? Let's change this. So you could say this could be team sports. That's even better. You don't have to say by sports. You just said it here. So you could say this could be team sports like volleyball, basketball, soccer, where it is taught to work in a team and to improve social skills. Get rid of the. Another, one word, another option, no comma, would be solo sports, for example, swimming, running, bicycling. I would say here and bicycling. The same thing here, I would have said and soccer, where the individual can learn about performance, boost their focus, and sense of autonomy. Okay. So the question is, what measures could be taken? Well, you mainly talked about one measure, which is sports. And I guess, what are you telling me? You're telling me that they work in a team and improve social skills, and here they boost their focus and a sense of autonomy. I think what I would have liked is maybe if you had talked a little bit about how you could have mentioned a study saying something like studies have shown that children who participate in sports or teenagers who participate in sports um, use their cell phone about 40% less to talk to their friends. Okay, so that would have been good. So that this is a great way to help avoid this obsession with the phone. Okay, careful with your spelling here. The most relevant example in my life is my daughter, 14 years old, who loves to stay on her phone for hours, but was losing with one O her ability to talk to others. I noticed that when we were out at a social meeting or event, she was more quiet. Careful with your spelling, that's not how we spell it. Like a shy teenager that she never used to be. Her father and I decided to cut her phone hours and enrolled her in a volleyball club just for girls. After a lot of resistance, she took the classes, and after 3 months, she was back to her normal. She was back to normal and recovered with an ED her social skills. Okay. I'll talk about this in a minute. Let me get your conclusion. Virtual friends are not as important as real in-person friends. Although the modern world today teaches this virtual way to socialize, it is mandatory to change this reality and teach No ES. The young generation about the drawbacks of it. Okay. So here's what I want to talk to you about. Um, you had this paragraph. No, wait. So you had this paragraph which answered the first question, and then you had two paragraphs which essentially answered the second question. So the first, this one here talked about the theory, and then you had this long paragraph about your daughter and that example there. Now, why is this a problem? First of all, we recommend a 4-paragraph structure. Okay, so you have an introduction, a conclusion, and then in between you have 2 body paragraphs. So that's what we recommend. And there are a lot of reasons why we recommend this, but let me tell you one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons is that what you have here is a lopsided essay. It's not balanced. So you had one paragraph for the first question, and then you had 2 whole paragraphs for the second question. So if you look at the band descriptors under task achievement, it says covers all parts of the task equally. You haven't done that. It wasn't equal. You spent twice as much time and twice as much space talking about the second question than you did the first. So there are a couple of things you could have done. You could have had a paragraph detailing and giving like support an example like the one about your daughter here, okay, and then that would have made it more balanced. Or you could have just kind of incorporated this, maybe talked a little bit less, all right, but you don't want it to be so clearly um uneven in one direction. Okay, so try to even out your paragraphs. Remember, there's something in the band descriptors that says covers all parts of the task equally, and it's under task achievement, I believe, at band 7. So since you're aiming for above a band 7, you have to be really careful about this. Okay, try to balance out your answer. Okay, so what we saw here was a couple of different things. We saw that grammar is an issue. You need to work on some of the grammar. You need to work on better syntax and using correct grammar. But also the task achievement, I didn't feel like it was as strong as you probably want it in certain places. Okay, it's a good start, but these are the 2 areas that for me have some weakness and need to be worked on. So hopefully we can work on them together. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to working with you and seeing more of your essays in the future.